In life, you have two choices. You can build a lifestyle or you can live a bullshit life, but you can't do both. Welcome to the Freedom Lifestyle Experience, where we focus on building the lifestyle you want. And now here's your host, Michael Burns.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Freedom Lifestyle Experience. I'm your host, Mike Burns. It's been a minute since I've recorded a show and put something out. I've been dealing with fucking life and business and practicing all the shit that I'm preaching, both on the podcast show and on my social media and just life in general, doing the work and being intentional about stuff and focus on providing value, becoming a better person, building relationships and all this shit that I'm talking about all the time. So also gonna just figuring out where, what direction I'm going with the podcast, with the whole lifestyle brand, the message. Like I'm starting to do more and more speaking, doing a lot of podcast interviews on other people's shows. And I got a few different people that I'm coaching and just kind of seeing where I go down this road. But the more and more that I've dove into like what's my purpose and the spiritual piece, and this is something I'm supposed to be doing. So here we are. But anyways, tomorrow, times are changing, guys. Like we're there's a lot of fear coming into the market. If you're in real estate, if you're an investor, if you're doing anything that, in that arena, then you're obviously feeling the market and the pinch and just everything shifting like it has been probably the last couple of months. But yeah, it's weird times. I don't think really anyone knows what's going on. I think the economy is figuring out what it's doing. The real estate market, I think, is kind of recalibrating right now. We're in Utah, as you guys know, and our market's definitely shifted quite a bit. So tomorrow on Thursday, my buddy Stratton, Strat Daddy, at Strat Daddy on Instagram. He's an awesome dude. Follow him if you're not. But we're going to have a meetup at the lifestyle offices. That's another thing we're going to start doing again. So if you're local in Utah or if you want to come in anytime, we're going to start doing those monthly lifestyle meetups again too. So just getting really back on the wheel and getting shit going and creating space for people to come connect. That's really what I want to do. And the whole purpose is share the message, create the space, and people need leadership and they need an example and they need a space and a place where they can come plug in with like-minded people and learn things and just be around a good environment, because that's really the foundation of being successful in anything is going to be the environment that you're in. So I figured I'd shoot a podcast show because I'm sitting here thinking about our meeting tomorrow. We're talking about preparing for a recession, like what are you doing in a changing market? And that's been something that's been huge on my radar the last 6 weeks probably. And so I was going to go over all the different things that I'm doing in that process, people that I'm talking to, and I've got some really awesome mentors and stuff too. And I was going to share some of the stuff that I've learned from some of these guys that are far, far more experienced than I am. So anyways, just wanted to share all that with you guys and talk about, what do you do when the market starts shifting? What do you do when people start talking about a recession and you can see that the economy is declining? Like, what do you do? Because if you're new in business or if you're just in business in general, that's fucking scary. Like for me, I got a ton of money out there right now. We've got a lot of risk exposure, a ton of real estate deals going on and different investment deals. And it's like we're seeing the risk exposure and a market declining, which is scary when you got a lot on the line. But it's also super exciting because as things shift and a down market happens, I'm not saying that's where we're headed, but in scenarios like that where fear is instilled into the market and people start doing stupid shit like selling and hitting the panic button, if you're calculated and you're ready to roll and you got the right mindset, you can come in and execute and do really, really well. So that's what I'm intending to do and really what we're going to talk about. So for me, taking all that into consideration, controlling your mindset and your environment and just everything that's coming into your space, for me, that's top priority. I need to keep my energy right. I need to keep my environment positive, and I really need to control my environment and kind of tighten the hatches down and really, really, really like pay attention to that, because if you lose your mindset, that you're fucked pretty much. So you got to keep the mindset right, but also the people that you're hanging around, because energy is contagious, excitement's contagious, and fear is also contagious and paralyzing as well. So I've really been focusing on protecting my mindset. And how do I do that? So where I'm going to start with this is I'm in the DM fam with Mark Evans. Mark's one of my mentors, friend, really good dude, a super seasoned business owner, real estate investor, someone I respect a lot. And we had our call probably a week ago. I don't know. It was on the 29th. I'm looking at my notes, but we had our monthly call, and that's what Mark was talking about was times are changing, and the first thing was protect your mindset. So a couple of things that we talked about, and this is stuff that I'm doing too, and it's just a good reminder. This is the shit that we should always be doing, but journaling daily was one of the things we talked about, and really just keeping your mind clear and journaling and like getting clear on your goals. And what Mark says is thought auditing, like thought auditing is basically journaling, or it's auditing your thoughts, like what thoughts am I thinking and why, and really controlling your mindset there. Another thing that he says a lot that I like is data over drama. Data over drama. So, if you're looking at the right data and you're making the best decision you can with the information that you have, that's really all you can do. So again, just rolling through these notes I have, keep anxiety down by executing and staying clear. Keep anxiety down by executing and staying clear. And for, if you're a type A, or if you're an entrepreneur, you're out there, you're someone who's highly driven and really motivated, I think the majority of those people probably experience some level of anxiety because it's just that inner drive, like anxiety comes up. So keeping anxiety down by executing and staying clear, executing on a plan. So, like a busy mind doesn't get anything done. So getting focused is really important. I don't know where I listened to this. It was on a podcast the other day. I think it was Ed Milet's podcast, but the guy that was talking, he was talking about branding, but he said diluted focus gets diluted results. Diluted focus gets diluted results. And I thought that was one thing that stuck out to me. I thought that was really powerful. Diluted focus gets diluted results. And that kind of falls in line with keeping anxiety down by executing and staying clear. So if you're focused and you have a plan in place, and then you're executing on your plan, well, then there's nothing else for you to be doing. You're focused and you know what your priorities are, and then you're executing on those priorities. If you're being good with your time and you're being smart with what you're supposed to be doing, and then you're executing on it, that's going to keep your anxiety down because you're doing exactly what you should be doing, and that's going to keep staying you clear. Another thing that I had in my notes was get and stay around winners. So again, I constantly am preaching environment and who are you spending your time with. So again, this is the DM mastermind call that I invest quite a bit of money every year to be around this exact thing that Mark was saying, get and stay around winners. Because if you're around winners aren't negative. Winners are talking about winning. Winners are talking about being productive. Winners are talking about taking accountability. Winners are talking about self-development and getting better. So if you're around people who are having those conversations and carrying that energy level, well, then that's what you're going to be too. But if you're on the opposite, if you're around people who are stressed and they're negative and they're not focusing on anything positive and they're fucking losers, well, like you're a product of your environment. So really controlling your environment is a big deal. One other thing that he had on there was get away from distractions. And again, that comes down to diluted focus is going to get diluted results. So stay away from distractions. I think the biggest distraction you can have, especially at any time, but especially in, uncertain times or where things are just a little uncertain like they are right now, is the media. The media is a major distraction. The radio is a major distraction. TV is a major distraction. Just allowing all the noise and all the bullshit, like your negative friends, are a major distraction. So keeping yourself safe from all of the external distractions, that's also going to keep you peaceful, and it's going to keep your anxiety down. And it's part of this controlling your environment that we're talking about. I mean, I know it might sound overkill talking about controlling the environment, but it really truly is the truth. And those of you guys who have become consciously aware of your environment and making adjustments to it and trying to continue to create an environment for yourself to be successful in, you're going to know this is like a major deal for you. So that pretty well covers it on the environment piece, like thought auditing, journaling, reading books, listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, hanging around winners, having a plan and executing on your plan. That's controlling your environment, and that's great. But in addition to that, another really, really powerful thing that I have heard multiple times from different mentors of mine, and again, I'm going to people who are more seasoned and more experienced in life and business than I am, because they've seen what a market cycle looks like. They've seen what recessions look like. They just have more experience, and experience is one of those things that you can't buy. It comes with time. So when you're younger in business, I'm 35 years old. I've been doing real estate for like 11 years now. So I wasn't in 2008. I wasn't in real estate. I wasn't in business. I was just getting going, doing the 1099 sales rep, out there slinging trees on the road 6 months out of the year. So I saw what a major recession in 2008 looked like then, but I was also in a totally different position and capacity. So I don't think I really realized what was going on, which was probably a good thing for me at the time. Otherwise, probably good to not know better at that time when you're cold calling nurseries trying to sell trees in a major recession and a housing crisis. But anyways, back to this. Another thing that I've heard though is patience is your best friend in a situation like this. And again, if you are an entrepreneur, you're a deal maker, you're someone who's out there hustling, patience is a hard thing and a virtue for sure. My patience is pretty much next to none. It's better than it used to be, but I struggle with patience. And another thing that's hard for me with patience is momentum. So everything that I'm always focused on is momentum. Anytime you could talk to me like, what's your number one priority? It's going to say momentum and new deals in the door. Like, I care about the stuff that we have and we need to execute on the deals that we have and the clients that we have and all of that stuff. But my number one top focus is always top of the funnel, top line, new business, new revenue, like bringing in new, creating new. So when it's taken me 10 years to get momentum the way that I have momentum now and the momentum that I've built, the idea of slowing down and the idea of patience and the idea of kind of sitting on the sidelines for a minute is really hard to comprehend. And then the fear comes in of it's taken me fucking 10 years to get the momentum that I have in my business right now, and things are awesome and we're crushing it. And now things are shifting and we're sitting on properties and doing major price reductions. And I'm used to buying 2, 3, 4 houses a month, plus doing all the real estate deals, all the mortgage deals, hard money lending, all the different things that I got going on that I'm trying to do. So momentum is a big deal. So the idea of slowing that down is really hard to process and understand. But what I'm learning is this is all a marathon. 6 months or a year or 2 years is such a small sliver of time when you start looking at a career and a life. Listening to these guys that are more experienced to me when they're saying patience is your best friend, slow down right now, tighten down the hatches, focus on what you have, like execute on what you have, tighten down the hatches, be patient. And another thing that Mark said that really stuck out to me and really, I'm glad I heard this because I needed to hear it, but it said, do not be a motivated buyer. Do not be a motivated buyer. And I was like, shit, I'm always a motivated buyer. So just really kind of slowing down and seeing what's going to happen, I think is for me, and I'm a high risk guy. Like I love throwing the dice. I love doing deals and really just kind of tapping the brakes and watching things recalibrate and focusing on executing on what we have going on right now and tightening down the hatches has been a major focus of mine. Another major person that I lean on is Lisa, my new coach, Lisa. I've been working with her for probably a month and a half now. 2 months maybe, and she's amazing. So Lisa, if you're listening, I love you and you're amazing. But again, coaches, guys, mentors, I got business coaches. I'm part of the DM fam. I'm in Arte Syndicate. I'm in Lions Not Sheep, Sean Whalen's Lion Den. And then I have Lisa, who is just my life coach. And then I've got Emmanuel, who's my fitness and nutritionist. So like I'm investing, again, I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I invest a ton of time and resources and money into me and getting coached in the different areas that are important to me. But Lisa has really been hammering in on me like, it's time to focus on you. She was almost kind of like, well, not almost, she told me like I'm in this cocoon phase where I'm kind of in a cocoon and I'm going through this transition process, but I really vibed with that. But focusing on you. So again, outside is so busy and there's so much going on. So it's great that we're controlling our environment, but that's our external environment. What I'm talking about is the internal environment, the relationship you have with yourself, and really taking the time to focus on you, taking your quiet time, whether that's, for me, my quiet time is meditating, it's listening to music, or it's every night I go on a walk. So right now it's 11:27 p.m. I finished at the gym, came to the office, got some work done, and I felt like spitting a podcast because I'm getting ready to have this meeting tomorrow. But I'll go on a walk tonight. I love my nights, but getting your quiet time for me has been critical to both my spiritual development, but also quieting my mind and and putting me in a place where I can just have reflection time. So focusing on you. So really what we're doing is, again, we're like, what do you do when you're running into uncertain times? Like if you're going into a hard situation, whether it's a chaotic situation, you're going into a situation that you know is going to be confrontational, or it's a fear-based situation, you're going into a deal that you're concerned about, or we're heading into uncertain times in an economy like we are right now, the more prepared you are with yourself, the better off you're going to be. So taking this time to focus on you is really what we're talking about. So again, I know I'm hopping all over the place. I'm reading my different notes from a bunch of different phone calls and stuff I've had going on that I wanted to share with you guys. This is literally what I'm doing. So I'm just sharing what I'm doing. But you have to get unbusy to have room to grow. You have to get unbusy to have room to grow. And that's really kind of set in with me as well. And that falls in line with slowing down momentum, stabilizing, executing on what we have, buckling down the hatches, and really just starting to be a little more strategic and a little less throwing the dice as aggressively. So we still want to be aggressive and out there, moving forward, really just taking the time to execute and stabilize on everything. So as I'm getting unbusy, I'm getting room to grow. And another thing that's really come into me, this was earlier this year, but it was the idea of expanding and contracting. Like you have to have contraction to have expansion. And again, if you're a type A, you're a go-getter, entrepreneur, deal maker, all the stuff that I'm talking about, like I am, that's another thing that going backwards isn't something that I really vibe with and I'm okay with. Like it's always grow, grow, grow. We need to double, we need to double, we need to double. So the idea of slowing down and expanding and contracting is, again, it's a hard thing for me to be okay with and let go of and see it as a good thing and not a negative thing. But again, you have to have the contraction before you can have the expansion. And that's with everything. So you see that in markets too. So again, like slowing down and getting unbusy so you can grow, contracting so then you can re-expand. And that's something that's really hit me. And just the idea of slowing down and being patient, it has been a big deal for me, and also quieting the mind and keeping the anxiety down. So we got all that going on. That's the mindset. That's the spiritual piece. That's the environment. That's all that. But then let's talk about shit you can execute on, because for me, once I know that I'm in the state of mind and the space that I need to be in, then I can actually go out and start executing and kicking ass and taking advantage of a situation where other people are scared to do stuff. So when COVID happened, I slayed it. I remember in April, I bought 6 or 7 houses when COVID went down. Everyone quit buying and they were concerned about everything. And I, same thing. I called my mentors. I was talking to people who were more seasoned experienced than I was, gathered all the information and the data that I could. And then I just went with a judgment call and what I felt in my gut. And I thought it would be a great opportunity. And we went out and fucking crushed it. We bought a ton of houses in April and May, and communicating with my teams and telling them, hey, we'll figure it out. Like, we'll have 2-man teams. You guys are going to have a job. Don't worry about it. And when that happened, I was prepared because I've been doing all the shit that I'm talking about all the time. So I was in a position where I could take advantage of a potential opportunity. And yeah, it was a risk, and you're still swinging, and sometimes you strike out, but that one worked out well. And I think what we're looking at right now is a very similar opportunity. So, when they say there's blood in the streets, that's when you should buy, or whatever the Wall Street thing is. So I think there's a lot of opportunity coming up, and I'm excited about it. And quite honestly, there's a lot of investors, in all markets, but especially Utah. Like, people have been coming in and being reckless and don't know what they're doing. And the market goes up 20%. So on a deal you should have lost 20, 30, 40 grand on, people were still making 30, 40, 50 grand and thinking they knew what they were doing. Same thing with everybody in the business. Like, business has been easy, and it's been good, and it's been fast, and everyone's been making a lot of money and thriving and doing well. And during those times, I think people get lazy, and they definitely sell out their values and their morals and ethics. I've watched people sell their values for the last 3 years. So all of that shit's going to catch up with people. So the people who are sitting there listening to the podcast and doing all the stuff we're talking about and getting ready, here we go, because this could be a big opportunity. So with that said, trying to protect the downside and then maximize the upside. So protecting the downside right now, we got a ton of deals going on. So what I'm doing to protect our downside is I'm not buying anything right now unless it's a fantastic deal. So pretty much put the brakes on buying. again, unless it's a really good deal, then we'll definitely buy one. We bought one last week. The other thing that I am doing is I'm talking with all of our people, especially my investors, and letting them know, like, hey, this is what's going on with the market. These are my concerns. These are not my concerns, whatever that looks like for your particular market. But what I'm reaching out to my investors and I'm saying, hey, we've got a lot of projects going. We've slowed down on purchasing. We're pricing our stuff aggressively and we're expecting longer days on market, and just letting them know what's going on. So if you have investors and they have money invested with you and they turn on the TV and they hear on the news like, oh, real estate market's going down, interest rates are up, and they start hearing all this news, it's fear-based, and then they start talking to their friends and they're saying the same shit. Now you got your money investors are freaked out and their confidence in you is going to be lower because they're hearing all of this stuff and they're not getting anything positive, or they're not hearing anything from you. So now they're wondering what the fuck is going on with their money. So I'm reaching out to my guys, hey, this is what's going on, and I'm staying ahead of that, and I'm giving them updates, and I'm also building the relationship, like I always talk about, building the relationship. The reason my investors will wire $800,000 on a text message tomorrow if they have the money is because the relationship and the trust and the extremely high level of integrity that I operate from, and they've seen that and exercised, and it's been a good working relationship. So letting them know what's going on is another thing that I'm doing. Also talking with our guys and everyone on our team and expressing how important it is that we get stuff done efficiently and quickly, and also letting them know, hey, the market's slowing down. It's going to take stuff longer to sell. If I'm losing money on deals and we're not buying stuff and things aren't going well, that kind of rolls downhill. Probably half the guys that work for us, they work exclusively for us, so they've put a lot of their eggs in my basket. So again, the relationship's important, and taking care of them, and this is a team effort, essentially letting them know, hey, like, this is what's going on. This is what I need you guys to step up in these areas. And then pricing, that's the hard part is, you can be efficient, execute on the deals, get them listed quickly and everything, but then you got to price it correctly. So, and that's hard in a moving market because all your sold comps don't really count because they were coming off the market the highest it's been. But then, so you're looking at actives and under contracts, and you're seeing longer days on market, price reductions all over the place. So what I'm trying to do, and I don't have this figured out by any means, but what I'm trying to do, my strategy is I'm trying to price my shit aggressively, I'm only looking at solds, not solds. I'm not looking at solds. I'm looking at properties that are active and under contract, and I'm basing my pricing off what those are looking like, because that's really what the market is. The shit that sold doesn't really matter anymore. So I'm looking at actives and what's currently under contract, and then I'm pricing my home, which is likely better than all the other stuff on the market because we do a good job on our flips, and I'm pricing it aggressively with what those look like, and then watching it and paying attention, because typically the market's going to tell you how you're doing on price. But when you have a situation like right now where it's stalling out a little bit and people are kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what's going to happen, like what are interest rates going to do? Are they going to go up? Are they maybe going to come down? Prices are going to come down. Now there's 4 times the inventory that there was. So that I think right now we're going to spend another couple of months with the market recalibrating so we can kind of find out where we're at. So as an investor, if you're trying to maybe not time the market, but you're trying to roll with the market, how do you price your stuff there? So that's what I'm doing. And then usually, if we're not, like, I had a property listed for, I think, 8 days and we didn't have one showing. So I dropped it like $25,000 because I want to get my shit sold. So if you're not having showings, then that's going to tell you something. If you're having showings but no offers, then you're close on your price, but you're not quite there. So unfortunately, a lot of times it comes down to price. And when you're making those decisions, it's really hard, especially if you bought a deal banking on appreciation and that appreciation is not there. The market's actually going down, or you went over budget, or you went over time, or now that we're having longer days on market, your hard money cost is adding up. So one of the biggest things that I learned early on in my real estate when I started flipping houses with my brother back in 2012 and 13 was be aggressive with your price drops. Like, you cannot be emotionally attached. And I remember we had a property that if we sold it at list price, we were going to lose like 20 grand. And when you're new, even if you're not new, you're like, shit, if I get what I'm asking for, I'm going to lose 20 G's, and I haven't had a showing in 10 days. So now I got to drop the price again. And I have longer days on market, which means my hard money cost is adding up. So Now we're looking at like best case scenario, we sell it for list price and lose 30 to 35. That's a hard mental place to be in because you can't make emotional decisions. And when you're already losing money and you have a situation that's going sideways, it's really easy to get your clarity clouded because you have the emotional attachment to I'm taking a loss right now. So part of protecting the downside is making sure the downside, sometimes is 30 grand and not 50. Or instead of taking a loss, you can look at, well, maybe we pivot and there's another way out of this. So that's another thing we're looking at right now is, pivoting both moving forward, but also with what you got going on right now. So if we flip a lot of houses, that's our thing. So instead of taking a loss or breaking even or even just sitting on a property that's not selling, it's like, okay, well, what other exit strategies do we have here? Keeping it as a rental might be one. So we're potentially looking at converting a couple of these flips into rental properties, but also on the mortgage side of our business, because I'm an investor and out there in the community so much, and this is talking about what's going on and the different things that are available. I've got a bunch of investors, primarily in the Utah market, that are coming and saying, they're in a similar situation. Hey, I got this deal that I own on hard money. Things are going sideways. So what kind of options do you have to get me out of this hard money? Because hard money, if you're not familiar with that, that's where you're paying 10, 12% interest plus origination fees and points. And it adds up real quick and gets real expensive real fast. So looking at different exit strategies, like when I first started in real estate, I looked at everything just as a flip. And I passed on so many deals that could have been great deals if I had more tools in my tool bag and I just knew more, if I was just more seasons, more experience, and I had more information that I could work with, like seller financing or buying stuff as rentals or understanding wholesaling better. So the more open you are to pivoting and doing something and making adjustments on the fly and not getting caught on like, oh, the deal has to look just this way. That's also protecting your downside. And that could be keeping these properties as rentals, working out some sort of deal with your money lender to see if you could turn it into a rental and have them stay on as a money partner. Like there's a lot of different ways you can potentially look at pivoting and different exit strategies. Airbnb kicks off way more cash flow than a regular rental does. So maybe you look at that like, hey, market rents are $2,200 a month for this if I were to rent it, but maybe you go talk to someone that runs Airbnb and you realize they could get you $4,000 a month. And even after fees and everything, you're going to net more money. So really just expanding your thought process and being open to other options. And again, when you're in an environment where you're around winners and people who are doing what you're doing, you start exchanging ideas. And this is the whole reason we're having this meetup at my office tomorrow, is for people to come talk about what's going on and who's doing what, and hopefully walk away with a positive attitude and a little brighter outlook and realizing like, hey, there's a lot of opportunity here. And that's really the whole point of that. But the other thing is recapitalizing. So the best time, Mark Evans says this, the best time to raise money is when you don't need it. The best time to sell something is when you don't need to sell. The best time to buy something is when you don't need to buy. So right now is a really, really good time to go raise capital or credit. So what I'm do is I go look at what are credit line options available to me personally or in my business. Like I want access to money. I'm always doing this, but especially right now when you have a little more time and things are slowing down, or if you don't have home equity lines of credit and you don't have credit cards and you don't have personal lines of credit, business lines of credit, private investors, private money, like now is a good time to go out and start raising money or getting access to cash and credit. So you're recapitalized and ready to roll when opportunities start coming, because opportunities are for sure going to start coming. So you got to get ready for that now. And a big part of that is having the money to do it, or having the relationships with people with money. So when opportunity comes, you're ready to roll. So start working on that now instead of waiting to have an opportunity or waiting to have a deal. And then it's like, oh, cool, I got a deal right here, but shit, I don't have the money. I can't close on it tomorrow and I can't take advantage of an opportunity because I don't have my shit together. So anyways, guys, that kind of covers it. Just to recap, really protecting your external environment and what you're allowing in. Who are you spending your time around? What are you listening to? What are you watching? Who are you learning from? What are you doing to protect that environment? And then also, what are you focused on? Slow down a little bit. Remember, diluted focus is going to get you diluted results. And just take the time now to really recalibrate. Stabilize is the word that I'm using in my life. Right now I'm stabilizing and I'm contracting and I'm just, getting my shit together essentially and recapitalizing and getting ready. So again, life's what you make it. The reality that you experience is going to start with the thoughts that you're thinking and the emotions that you're feeling. So anyways, guys, I'm here to help with anything. I'm excited to get back on the weekly podcast shows. We're going to be switching platforms over and I'm going to be rolling out video and getting YouTube going and really, I've been taking the time in the last few months to get clear on what is it that I'm wanting to do with the podcast, with my message, with my brand, with the speaking, the social media, all that stuff. And I'm super clear on, I'm just here to share my journey with you guys. So I'm going to start being a lot more transparent with that and just sharing the shit that I'm learning. I spend a tremendous amount of time and effort and money on like I said, coaching and masterminds and different events and just the experience in life and business as I'm, continuing to grow. And I'm just going to start sharing all of that in a much more open and transparent way. So hopefully that's going to bring value. And I appreciate you guys listening to the show. Appreciate all the love and support. Follow me on Instagram at michael.burns. I'm always putting stuff out there. And until next week, go build that lifestyle.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.